Hello and welcome. Today I am here with Daniel Bertomeu, legal advisor of Expat Abogados, an international studio of lawyers. They are on the Costa Blanca and they have a huge experience in helping international buyers purchasing properties in Spain and also working with anything related to it, including resident visas. So tonight, I'm very happy to have Daniel here with me because we are going to explain clearly what is the non-lucrative visa, how it works, who can apply for it, how to apply, what advantages it offers you, basically everything you need to know about the non-lucrative visa. Daniel, thank you very much for taking the time and for being here today.
You're welcome. I hope this video makes the life easier for the people that are thinking of applying for the non-lucrative visa in the next year. So let's go for it.
Let's go for it, and I'm sure it will help. So let's start with the basics. For people who are not very familiar with that, what is the non-lucrative visa?
Okay, so it's a kind of residence authorization that Spain grants for people that want to live in Spain, but as the name of the visa says, without working. We will go deeper into this later in the video, but even though some people do some cheating, the condition for this visa is very clear. You shouldn't be working neither in Spain or for a foreign company.
Okay, so it is aimed, for example, to people who want to retire in Spain, but they have stopped working anywhere.
Exactly. They can have, for example, few apartments rented in another country because that's passive income, but they are very strict, especially nowadays with the condition of not working.
So they cannot be employed or self-employed.
Exactly. And not only that, but for example, there was a case in Madrid a few years ago that got to the courts that the non-lucrative visa was denied because the person was available on LinkedIn. So it's something that you really have to take care of.
So they really check. Okay, so what are the main advantages of the non-lucrative visa and for people who want to relocate to Spain or better to retire in Spain?
Well, the main advantage is the fact of living permanently in Spain and having no more travel than requesting the visa. And when you're here, getting the TIE. And these two processes are very easy and straightforward. It's not like some other kind of visas, like, for example, the digital nomad visa. So I would be very straight. The main advantage is the fact of living in Spain, coming to Spain to live, and the process being quite easy.
Living
Because
with no time restriction, they can permanently live in Spain. What is the difference? You mentioned the digital nomad visa. What is the difference between the non-lucrative visa, the digital nomad visa, and what was the golden visa that now has been terminated?
Okay, so the digital nomad visa basically is for people that come to Spain and will be teleworking for a foreign company. The golden visa was a really good option because it allowed you to live in Spain, um, or it allowed you to stay here for more than 90 days, but without the obligation of becoming a tax resident, because one of the conditions of the non-lucrative visa is that you must be a tax resident. Here there are some discussions that people say no, but this is not illegal, and it's true that courts could say something in the future about this condition, but the truth is that nowadays, in order to get the non-lucrative visa, and especially to renew it and not be denied, you must become a tax resident in Spain.
Okay, so let's go into the requirements, the eligibility and requirements for this type of visa. I know there are financial requirements. to be able to apply for this visa. Can you explain what are the financial? Because if it's someone who doesn't have to work, clearly it must be also someone who can support themselves without working. So, what are the financial requirements to apply for this visa?
Okay, so technically speaking, there's a measure in Spain called IPREM that is that is the measure that Spain uses to say, okay, it must be 4 times this. But generally speaking, you must have around 30,000 euros available in a bank account. And when you're trying to renew it, because you are granted the non-lucrative visa for 1 year, so this would be the requirements for one person. Then, if you want to include your spouse or your children, it's not 30,000 euros times two, because it would be less per these other people. Um, Such.
So basically, it's 30,000 in your bank account. And if you want to extend the visa to your spouse or to your children, then it's a bit more, but it's not the double. It's not 60,000, 90,000. It's 30, 36, 40.
For a three-member family, husband, wife, and children, it's 40,000, 45,000 euros.
Okay. Okay. And it must be, can it be only money in the bank account, or can also passive income? If someone, for example, moves here and they are renting out their property in the UK or in the US, can they, does this passive income count for the non-lucrative visa?
Yes, so the possibilities of proving these funds are either bank savings or passive incomes. There are also some others, but these two are the main ones.
Are there other requirements, for example, having a health insurance? Because these, the people who have this visa, can they rely? We can talk later specifically about that, but can they rely on the Spanish system, or do they have to come with the private healthcare, Spanish healthcare insurance?
This is a very good question and one of the most important ones. Basically, yes, they need a health insurance, but not any of them is valid. It must be ones that covers everything and with no co-payments. Basically, the most expensive option you can get when you are hiring a health insurance. But, and this is a big but, for British people that have a pension, they can be under a system called S1. I'm not an expert on this, but in this case, if they register this S1 under the Spanish Social Security, they could avoid paying for the Spanish health insurance. But in all other cases, they would need to hire a private health insurance.
Okay. Um, yeah, talking about family members who can get the visa, is there any restriction, for example, couples who are not married but they've been together forever, or children who are over 18 years old? Is there any limitation or any regulation about this? Or they must be at least couples with, for example, depending children?
Mhm. I will start from the end. And the thing about children is that recently there was a new, it's not called law, but reglamento, and this changed a few things. And one of them is that, uh, so besides the cases of children with discapacity, this is another topic, but in general, if they are over 18, they should do their own applications because they are above 18 years old. But if they are under 18, they can be included in the same application. Now, regarding the thing about marriage, to be honest, the non-lucrative visas we have worked were always in cases of two people being married and registered as a married couple. So I couldn't say, what I can say, and this is just common sense, is that in Spain, there's a almost 100% equivalence of being married or not being married, but having shared uh, a big number of years with the same person. So I cannot say 100% in this point, but my common sense says that there won't be problem, but you certainly will need to certify this relationship status. And well, we can, maybe this is another question, but I can say it already now, that it's really important to have it apostilled, the hack apostilled, and then a strong translation in order to be valid.
Okay, well, you had to demonstrate that it's basically your companion or the person you live with. That's not difficult. Now, about the application process, can a lawyer like you, like your studio, take care of the whole process for the clients?
Yes, we can take care of the process from the very beginning, from preparing the documents to working with the consulate. It's true that we might need the client to attend certain appointments, or once they are in Spain, if they grant us a power of attorney, we can help them. But yes, this is one of our core services, so definitely we can do it.
How long does it take, more or less, the process from beginning to end?
Okay, this depends a little bit on the consulate and the country, but give you an answer, I would say around 2 to 4 months. 4 months would be the latest, and 2 months would be the least. The thing is that the consulates, when you do the application, from the moment they receive from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs if the residencia is granted or not, they have a month to give you an answer. Sometimes they can take a month, 2 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks, and then preparing. So not from our side, but the strong translations, getting certain documents that maybe they are a bit strange, and the clients need to go to the bank or they need to go to the civil registry. This is why I would say it's between 2 and 4 months.
Okay, and the applicants, uh, can they do it from their own country, or do they have to be in Spain or come to Spain for specific parts of the process?
The first part of the process is always from the country where these people are located the moment they want to do the application. So here is when the consulates play a big role. And it's important because one thing are the embassies and another thing are the consulates. A lot of times, an embassy has also a consulate office, but it's not every case. So they should really pay attention to this. But yes, it always starts from the country where they want to, from which they want to move to Spain.
Yeah. Okay, before going on, I invite you to subscribe to both our channels, to my channel, Daniela the Real Estate V, and to also Daniel's channel. He has very interesting video about specific legal requirements. So I really invite you to subscribe to his channel. Now, talking about more specific real estate related questions, do applicants need to have a property in Spain? Do they need to have a rental contract as part of the application requirements, a Spanish address? How does it work? Because if they are going to move to Spain, they need to live somewhere.
Exactly. But that's something that happens after they have the non lucrative visa and after they are physically in Spain. So for the process, they don't need any of this.
Okay. So, if they are, for example, in the process of purchasing a property, does it help in the process of getting with, I mean, with the authorities, with the approval? Does it help in the process, the application process, or doesn't have a specific impact?
From my experience, it doesn't play a big role, but it's true that if you are buying property, the moment you are getting the NI number, once you are in Spain, for example, some offices ask for the reason why you're getting the NI number. So if you are buying property and you have the reservation contract, at least this is going to help a lot with this kind of procedures. But you can get the non-lucrative visa without having yet a property in Spain.
Okay, so you can get the visa first and the property afterwards. This, I think it's very interesting because if correct me if I'm wrong. If by getting the non-lucrative visa, the person becomes a resident of Spain, this could help in case our government starts applying uh, higher taxes, for example, or non-European or non-resident buyers. If someone has this visa and automatically they become resident because they want to retire here, they shouldn't worry about having to pay any higher tax because they pay as a resident of Spain. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, but it's important to explain a few things here, and is that being in the Spanish tax general regime gives you access to certain exemptions and deductions and advantages that you wouldn't have, and if you are a non-resident. But it's true that if you're a non-resident, you have other advantages. Like, for example, the wealth tax, if you're a tax resident, is going to apply to you for your worldwide income. And if you are non-resident, it will only apply to your Spanish assets that you have located in Spain.
Yeah.
Now, another thing is that all the noise that's around about, for example, the 100% property tax, but not only that, in the past it was also the inheritance tax, which discriminated between non-residents and residents. And in October 2025, and there was a ruling, a court decision made by the Spanish Supreme Court that is very important and tells you a lot, and is that um, on the wealth tax, residents have access to a very big advantage that is called the 60% limit, which, well, basically, if you don't have a big income, but you have a big wealth, you pay very little wealth tax compared to what you should maybe pay. And non-residents didn't have access to this. So the Spanish Supreme Court came and say, look, Spain, it's not the first time that you try to discriminate between non-residents and residents, and you cannot treat them worse. And as I said, this is not the first time. It also happened in 2014, and if this tax eventually gets approved, the same is going to happen. And another big news from this court ruling is that Spanish courts can apply directly European Union law. And European Union law is very clearly when it comes to protecting not only people that are residents in European countries, but also people that come from third countries in these kind of taxes. So,
Yeah.
well, it's good to be informed, but not to panic, because luckily we're in a state of law, and Spanish courts have do their job very well.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that because I heard about it. I think it's a great news because it, as you said, it creates a very important precedent of all these supposed cases of that are, especially now during the uh, with the elections coming up. Political parties we will have a festival of these threats of taxing non-residents. This decision is very important. I actually I'm preparing a specific video about that. So thank you for mentioning it because it's exactly the same things I'm going to explain in the video. So subscribe. So now,
Sorry, Daniela, before we move, I just want to point out that the fact that it's the Spanish Supreme Court is very important, because it's not the same that a first instance tribunal or a regional court say is that than the highest. So yes,
That
just to
they cannot be hired. No one can challenge this decision. So let's go back to the non-lucrative visa. Once you have it, how is the how often you said it's 1 year? So what are the requirements for the renewals?
Okay, so technically, you can renew for the non-lucrative visa from 60 days before it expires to 90 days after. If you do it after 90 days, you could have a sanction. It's not so. There are three levels of sanctions, and it would be the lowest, but it's something to have in mind. But it's true, and I'm not very sure about the non-lucrative visa. But for example, for the TIA renewal in Alicante province, they don't let you book an appointment until it's expired. So maybe depending on the region, you must wait until it's expired to apply for it. As I said, you have 90 days after it expires to get the appointment. So yes.
So the TIE is the residence card, no?
Yes, the TIA is the plastic cards where you have the information of your residence status. That in this case of the video would be
foreigner.
non-lucrative.
Can these visa holders travel? I mean, do they have a minimum stay period of time they must spend in Spain every year, or can they travel during the year? Are they free to basically do whatever they want, or do they have a specific period of time that they must spend in Spain every year?
Well, considering that they must be tax residents in Spain, they should stay in Spain at least 183 days. Besides that, they are free to travel.
Can they travel freely across Europe without asking for another visa if they have this visa?
Yes, because they would be inside the Schengen space, so they wouldn't need an extra document. This is also one of the big advantages that maybe we Europeans don't pay attention because you live with it.
We have it.
But for people that come from other continents, it's a big plus.
Of course, of course. And in terms of Spain, does this visa give them any access, for example, to the public healthcare system, education system, like we have as well, Spaniard in your case, or European citizen in my case?
Yes, the thing is that you are obligated to hire the private health insurance, but that doesn't mean that you cannot use the public health system. The the truth is that the public health system nowadays is very busy, but when it's a serious illness, uh, even from the private health insurances, they send you to these kind of hospitals, so they cannot treat they treat certain big diseases that if not, private hospitals wouldn't do it. So this is something to really consider for older people. And about public education, of course, and not only that, if you have children with you and they are between, well, I don't know when it starts, let's say 4 or 5 years old, until they are 16, you have the obligation to register them in a school. It can be public or it can be private.
Okay, so for healthcare, basically, they can always, of course, access the healthcare system. I must say that healthcare in Spain is very good, but also private healthcare is excellent, and it's much, much cheaper than in other countries because it's with the really few €100 per month, the whole family can have a superb healthcare system. I mean, I have a private healthcare, and it's really top quality. Now, so what we were talking before about people who have the non-lucrative visa, they cannot work in Spain. They cannot basically work anywhere. They must basically be either retired or so having a pension from paid from their own country, or having any form of passive income. But they cannot be employed, they cannot be self-employed, they cannot run a business, even if the business is outside of Spain, correct?
Exactly. That's correct. It's a complete prohibition on working. Um, there might be a confusion because it's true that in 2012, so long time ago, there was a Supreme Court ruling that said something that could have a different interpretation. But people that talk about this ruling don't have in mind that at that moment there was no a digital nomad visa. So for this kind of cases, there's another clear option. So yes.
So people who are interested in working, moving to Spain and working, there are other types of visa that we can talk about in other videos. There is the digital nomad visa, or I assume specific business visas for different situations. About the renewals, after the first year, how long is there a limit of years it can be renewed, or after how many years people are entitled, if they want to ask for the passport, for the Spanish passport, or if they don't want to, can they just keep going on with this visa as long as they want?
Mhm. Okay, so to make it as easy as possible, you get granted the non-lucrative visa for 1 year. After 1 year, you renew it for 2 years, and after that, you renew it for 2 more years. That's a total of 5 years, which would be the temporary residencia. And from there, you can apply for the residencia that basically you have the same rights and the same everything as a Spaniard. You cannot access to certain like public state work or something like that. But that would be the second phase. That would be another 5 years. And after 10 years of living in Spain, you can apply for the Spanish nationality. This would change for people that come from countries like South America, Filipinas, but for the English speaking countries, this would be the option.
Okay. Now, to close our conversation, in your experience, what are the most common mistakes that applicants make when they are applying for this visa, and especially if they don't work with expert lawyers like you?
Thank you. Um, well, the main one is trying to cheat, and I say this because lots of people come to Spain through this non-lucrative visa, but once they are here, they do their things to start working, and look, Spain might be full in some things, but when it's about these kind of things, they find out and they are going to deny the renewal of your visa. So I think this is the number one mistake, using this visa as a bridge to come to Spain and live here and start working. The second one is the financial planification that is not super hard. I mean, you have the money or not. I didn't say exact numbers because this is a general conversation, but well, you can check or
Yeah, but you give an idea, so it's good enough.
exactly. But it would be having preparing the opening of a Spanish bank account for the future and these kind of things, and well, yeah, document preparation as well, because some things look very easy. There's a lot of documents, but in practice, these kind of things with immigration, you have to pay certain tasas, certain things that it's better if you have someone that has experience with it. You can do it yourself perfectly, but yes, it's not worth the risk.
Yeah. Um, what are the tips? What's if you had to give some advice or one piece of advice to a family or a couple of people who would like to retire to Spain and would like to apply for this non-lucrative visa. What's your advice? My advice is, as I always say, work with the right people, because like Daniel said, if you make a mistake, that could cost you very, very much. So what's your what's the your tip, your top tip for someone who wants this visa?
Mm, yeah, for me, the most important thing is that you prepare things back in your country well. For example, maybe you have a company and maybe you don't want to sell it or whatever, but you have to prepare your structure so well that you can prove that you're not working from Spain in any case, because you can prove that you're not working. So preparing these things well, for me, is the key tip that I can give.
So
Uh,
I'm sure that when clients contact you, you have all the tips that they need, and I'm sure it also depends on the specific situation of the client, of course. Is there anything else that you would like to say to close all this excellent explanation about the non-lucrative visa?
Well, that non-lucrative visa, in my opinion, is a extremely good option for those retirees that want to come to Spain, but it's not for everyone, and that you should check also the other options that, as Daniela said, we can talk about in future videos, like the digital nomad visa, the Beckham law, that is extremely connected with the digital nomad visa, but is not the same. And well, just spend some time finding some things about it on Daniela's videos or my videos, because this is the best. So Spain is really a great country to come. You have a lot of different options: Catalunya, Costa Blanca, Galicia, south of Spain. But like anything in life, if you plan it ahead and if you prepare, you do some research, then things are going to work out perfectly.
Absolutely. Always do your own research and always work with the right people. Daniel, thank you so, so very much. Excellent explanation, very clear, to the point. So I hope our viewers now know everything they need to know about the non-lucrative visa. As I said in the description, there is Daniel's channel, my channel, all the information. You are free to contact us for properties, for legal support. We collaborate, and we are here for any future need, and subscribe so we'll be notified about other great conversations with Daniel. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Daniela, and we will meet again soon to talk about other topics. We have a lot of things to talk about, and
A lot.
it's a pleasure.
Thank you.